episode 4 of What Are You Playing? I'm your host, Derek, and we're actually, because show 3 was so terrible, I felt like we needed to redo the cast, and so I brought back the same guys from show 3. Since there couldn't have been a single person that actually listened to that entire show, even though it was actually a good show. I brought back Dan.
Hey, Derek. Good to see
Hey,
you.
Dan. And Sasan. How are you doing,
Hi.
Sasan?
Good, how are you?
Talk a little louder.
Yeah, you're gonna have to talk a little louder.
All right. Hi.
All right. So we just before we even kick off the show, we did try to work with Sasan's audio, but he is having audio issues, so we're worried he's going to be a little low. So he's going to try to be a little bit louder in this one, and I'm going to try to be a little bit softer, and so is Dan. But let's just kick off. Let's get into the show. There's a couple of games that I really wanted to go over for this episode. Well, let's start it off on one that I know all three of us have put in at least some decent time, and we've done it for the what I'm going to call the full release, but it's the early access full release of the game, and that's No Rest for the Wicked. Before we just jump in and start talking about impressions and stuff like that, why don't you real quick, Dan, tell me how many hours do you think you got into the early access of No Rest for the Wicked?
So my hour count's kind of weird. I don't know it's good or bad, but I'm probably like around that 10, 11 hours into it,
Okay.
though I'm admittedly not very far in it.
Okay. So you've put a good chunk of time. And then, Sasan, are you aware of how many hours you put in?
I have no idea. I guess I could check it, but I did.
Steam should tell you.
Yeah.
It's quite a few. Last time I checked, I think Sasan had probably 20 plus hours on it.
Holy
All right.
shit.
So while he's looking, he's looking at Steam. I'm at 20 hours. I did finish again, it's early access, so all I finished is the content that I could, which is Act 1. I believe, this is not official, I do believe the game's going to have 3 acts. So I finished the first act, and I think it took me about 17 hours to finish. And then the last 3 hours that I've been playing off and on has been me just screwing around with in-game content, which I'll talk about later, and then also just kind of I've been trying to treat this game kind of like Destiny 2, but a melee version of it, and just doing bounties and side stuff as well. So let's kick it off with Dan. Is this game any good to you?
I think this game is excellent. I mean, so far, everything that I've played of it, I'm just infatuated with it. I kind of knew I'd love it. I'm a big fan of Moon Studios and what they did with Ori. So that's a bit more of a platforming kind of game, and that's a little bit more my vein. I definitely am into like the Souls-like games. So this is a little bit different as far as some of the mechanics go, though a lot of what I don't know, I think is like the DNA of Ori is definitely like overlapped with what they've done with this game. So some of it still kind of feels familiar, and I get what they're doing, and I just love the overall level design. Um, but kind of as I got going on the game, and I very much enjoyed all the exploration and everything I've done so far, and really got up to that first boss, and felt like I did quite a bit leading up to that, and kind of beat my head against him for just a couple tries, and was able to easily get around him. But that's kind of where my game started crawling to a halt a little bit here, and I was honestly hoping you guys could give me some advice, but
Okay.
everything that as far as like the fighting mechanics and everything go, I really like what the game's doing with the stamina system. I just haven't quite figured out how I want to play the game yet. I started off the sword and board with just your whatever the blood rust sword or whatever
Yeah.
is, and I really like that combination. But after I got to that first boss, he dropped like a legendary two-handed sword. So
I didn't get that. I'm really
no.
annoyed by that. No.
Dude, it's a very cool sword. Have you played with this, Hassan?
Oh yeah. It's you've really got to plan your attacks out. You got to telegraph your attacks.
Yes.
2 or 3 seconds ahead of time, because there's no like I'm going to instantly react to this. You're basically, for regular enemies, it's almost a one-shot kill, 2 or 3 at most.
Yeah, maybe 2 at most,
If
and
you miss, you're fucked.
it works excellent, but it's really a different like play style to the combat. So I've been trying to adapt to that after I got that, and then I was grinding a little bit and upgraded that epic two-handed sword I got. Well, like now I'm kind of like stuck at a place. I've explored the mechanics, kind of done everything that I can in the town, upgraded that a bit. I just love what's going on and the bounties and all this. I got these missions. Well, my main mission kind of seems like it's steering me to the right, and I go right, and it just says like deadly. Like I enter the zone, and so it just feels like I'm under leveled to go in there. I go in there, I can kill an enemy or two, but like they are insanely tough. And then when I go back left, I think it says like the danger level's like moderate, and they're a bit more manageable. So I'm trying to like go back and re-explore the areas that I've been in, but I'm still having trouble getting anywhere new. So I don't really know where the hell I'm supposed to go at this point.
I think, and Sasan, I'm going to ask you the same question in a second, but I think to help you out, Dan, there's 3 main bosses in the game, and there's 4 main boss fights. So meaning you fight one guy twice, 2 versions of him. I think the one that you need to go towards is the first boss fight with that guy you fight twice, and that's in an area you've already been to. It's the marine area, I believe.
Yep.
In the water, by the water inside this secret bridge this guy lets you in.
Yeah, he's up top.
He's up top. Yeah, that's what I'm trying. So yeah, I've kind of seen that area, and I'm like trying to figure out how I get there. And like as I'm back exploring around, I'm just kind of getting my ass kicked right now because I tried going back to my sword and board, but now that weapon seems severely underleveled, and I can't get good with the two-handed weapon. And the one thing that's driving me a little bit nuts with the game, and I like everything it's doing with the RPG mechanics, the better stats and gear and stuff like that. And I love the Destiny aspect of all that, but all the gear I'm getting right now, if I equip any of it, I'm just heavy all the time, so I'm just fat rolling everywhere. So I either have to like not equip barely any armor and carry a weapon, or so I just feel like a lot of the equipment I'm getting right now is like I either do it and I'm a tank fat rolling, or live without. So I feel just like at a little imbalance with the stats and everything I have and what the game's giving me to offer.
There's definitely issues there for
sure. But
every game like it. So that's just stop the armor. You got to get rid of the armor.
Yep. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. So I'm beating my head up against the wall a little bit with it, but it doesn't mean that I'm not enjoying it. I just haven't got too far.
I would say if you're going to go with the heavy sword, you have to take Sasan's advice, and you've got to basically go, I can't have armor, especially early game.
Yeah.
Also, I will say this is a tip that I think actually will be really helpful if you're going to continue to play this and Act 1.
Yep.
And that is figure out what your build's going to be and only focus on that. So here's what I mean. I usually play these games strength build.
Yep.
And so I was obviously dialing in on strength, but then I was like, well, I need stamina and I need equip load, because just like you, I was like, well, I can't equip anything. I'm getting pissed.
Yeah. That's kind of where all my stuff's going is those 3 right now is my stamina, equip load, and strength. So is that good or not?
Well, I think you should focus. Let's say you decide to do strength. I think going forward, you should only put your points in that one attribute. And here's why. Any weapon that you want that's going to be good for your build has very high levels that you have to reach in order to use it. So for instance, I'm at in-game, my character's level 17, but you get 3 attribute points every time you level up. But the level 3 weapons, the good weapons now, are all strength 42. My strength is in the 30s, and I put most of my points in my strength. So my point is pick what you're gonna do, whatever your build's gonna be. I'm not saying you can't put a few points in other stuff, but really you definitely shouldn't be going, well, I'm just gonna put a point in everything. You should be like, hey, I'm gonna do strength, so I'm gonna pump 90% of my points in strength, and the other 10% can go to if you need a little more stamina or if you need a little more equip load. But this game, and again, I didn't forget about you, Sasan. I'm coming to you in a second. But this game has, like, it's really good. Like, I really like it. I rate it
yeah.
9 out of 10. But I can also objectively say it has glaring flaws. And
Yep.
one of them is, obviously, I know we're all going to say it, the inventory system sucks ass.
Yes.
But
Yes,
but
it's so
also
bad.
it's
I don't
it's
have a house yet. It's
scaling.
so bad.
Yeah, the scaling is bad too. Like, it's bad as far as, like I just said, hey, I get, like, every weapon and armor I'm getting in game, I can't use.
Sure.
I
Right.
can't use it. I'm under the minimum level is 21, and if it isn't a level 21 equipment, it's high strength or some other attribute I don't have. I'm like, I can't use any of this equipment. I'm still using my wooden shield and my sword that I upgraded to, like, I think it's only at the highest level of 2, so I'm not even at, like, a 3.
Right.
And this is why I hate in-game. I'm not doing any damage to any boss in in-game. Like, I'm
That
just
sucks.
going beep, 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 and I'm not
Yep.
doing anything. So anyways, we'll talk about that stuff more.
Mm.
Let's go to you, Sasan. Speak up a little bit. You are still a little low.
All right.
Is this game good to you?
Oh, it's great. It is a wonderful game. I put 16 hours in, according to Steam. First and foremost, yeah, the combat's just really, really good. Like, it's very chunky, very weighty, you have to be very mindful of all your movements, and I appreciate that. The roll feels very snappy and responsive. The parry window is just about right. I would say people who could make competent Souls likes, to me at least, is obviously FromSoft, Team Ninja, and I'm going to put Moon Studios on there. This is the first Dark Souls like that. Like, I think they did it. They did
Hell
the
yeah.
hard part. They did the hard part. The easy part that they mess up, as we talked about, is the inventory management. Equipment load's fine, but if I can't just carry shit, that's Demon Souls bullshit. That's Demon Souls. That sucks.
So one thing I gotta ask this question: you can upgrade, like, your inventory slots where you can hold more swords and items and stuff like that. Where do you do that again?
So after you beat a boss, which you should have one already.
I have. Yep.
There's a main quest where you go to the tower in Sacrament.
Yep.
And you go to the top part of the tower. You're gonna talk to a rook guy or whatever. He's gonna introduce you to an old man. You give him your Inchor or whatever. I forgot what it's called. Ichor. You give him the Ichor.
Yep. Give him the Ichors.
Yeah, and then you can level up stuff.
Okay, yeah, he's hanging out in around my tower or whatever, and I'm supposed to give him Ichors, and I just haven't found any more, so I forgot what they did.
Yeah. So every time you beat a boss, you get an Ichor. When you get to
that's the only way that you get them is from beating bosses. See, that kind of sucks, and I don't even remember what I picked for my upgrade from that one, but now I'm kind of regretting not having 2 weapon or main right hand slots. So that kind of sucks. I got to beat another boss, but
I think I leveled up inventory first, and then I started doing rings because I wanted to be able to equip 3 rings. But yeah, so I think there's a lot of potential. I'm gonna go off of what Sasan was talking about. First of all, and I should have said this from the very beginning, I'm a huge fan of Moon Studios, and now they've moved up really high. Now you're getting into fanboy status for me.
Heck yeah.
Nothing does.
Here's why I say this. I am not a Metrovania guy at all. I absolutely hate most Metrovania games.
Come on.
And Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori Will of the Wisps are 2 of my favorite games. They're the only 2 Metrovania games that I've ever completed. I got to the end of Prince of Persia, but I gave up. But they're the only 2 games I've ever completed in that genre, and it's simply because they're masterful in not only level design, but for the Ori games in particular, it's also the presentation the music, they knock everything out of the park.
Oh, heck yeah.
I know he was talking about how they nailed the gameplay in this game. That's the other thing. They nailed it in Ori. Like those games are so smooth. There's
the animations, just the sounds. I mean, yes, and it just feels so good. Oh,
yes, and
they're gorgeous to boot. And this game, like I was a little thrown back with like the art style of the humans at first. Like when you're in that character creator, like what the heck am I?
What the hell is this?
It's I just want to give her a fat booty and normal arms, but she's got to be an ape. But like when you get in the game and everything, everybody looks fine. I mean, they're a little goofy, and like you get it's like an art style, but like God, it looks so good, and the levels look just it's just amazing. And I love the depth of field, the way that they did it in this game. It's something they just couldn't do as much in Ori. They did a little bit with like the backgrounds or whatever, but they weren't necessarily like you were a place you wanted to travel. And you know, you might see something that's like 3-4 levels down, and it's like, gosh, how do I get there? Like there's secrets and stuff down there, and it just promotes like a whole level of exploration. I just love how they present it. It's their presentation.
When you're top of Sacrament, like when you're at a higher level, you just look over like the horizon, you see like these peaked gable roofs rolling over. It's so gorgeous. Like nothing looks like this. I mean, that's like the most just well worn in, like warm, just such a great heaviness to the art that just feels, you don't smell it and taste it. It's just so good. Like I love that. But I did quit playing it though, because I really got to, first of all, I mean, it's early access. I'm going to beat this game and play the hell out of it.
Oh, hell yeah. Yep.
The whole like the inventory stuff was really wearing me out. It's like just seeing stuff, I can't take it with me. And like, I don't want to deal with that. You know, I just want to pick stuff up. I want to.
How far did you get?
I beat the second boss.
Second time or one?
Like, I've been storing stuff in the community chest since, like, I don't feel like the PvP or PvE or any of that's, like, working yet. And I assume, once it gets updated, like, your friends and people can pull from it. But I'm just using that as storage right now.
Yeah.
And I'm just, like, dumping everything in there because that's the only way I can explore.
Mine's already filled up.
Oh, really? Oh, man. I didn't know there was there's a storage.
Are you not selling stuff?
Yeah, you got to sell some stuff.
I'm selling a lot of stuff, but like I said, I really explored the shit out of this place.
Yeah, you must have, man. Dang.
Picked up everything, and I don't know what I see.
Yeah, you must have, because you are around. You're just a little bit less hours than me, and I beat all of Act 1 and then did extra content. So, and I thought I was taking my time, but I will say, I'm not playing the game to go cut down pine trees. That type of stuff I get annoyed with. Like, you know, I don't like Survivor games. I hate Survivor.
I kind of like some of the aspects in this. I mean, I'm not huge in those kind of games, but I like what they've incorporated here and how you can bring that back and upgrade. Was it Sacrament?
Yeah.
You know, so like the things that you can do there with that, like some of that stuff's kind of cool. And they were doing a little bit of that in Ori too, where you had to collect resources, do quests, and you got to upgrade certain villages and stuff like that. So like I said, it's totally like their DNA here. And I just love what these guys do so much. I mean, I 100% the first Ori game, and I was like 98% on the second one. There was like two things like I just couldn't figure out. I never looked up a guide, but I just love the studio and like what they do with things. And I think, you know, this being an early access, I'm not at a sprint to finish it or beat my head against the wall. Like I'm playing it casually. I'll pick it up and play it for an hour or two, even if I get nowhere with it. I'm just absolutely loving it. But when the actual game comes out and everything, I know this is something I'll definitely play all the way through.
Okay. So we both, well, not both, all three of us approve of this one. We kind of talked about what we didn't like as well. Is there anything else that you can think of that you did not like about the game besides obviously inventory? How did y'all guys feel about, I know you didn't do all the boss fights, but the ones that you did do, how do you feel about the boss fights as far as the, I would say, level of difficulty and just design? Like, were they fun? What's y'all's feedback on the boss fights?
So that second boss fight, was that the guy that was repeating this thing over and over again? Like remember you find this guy, you rescue him from a prison, and he gives you like entrance into like a cave. Is that the second boss? That guy who has 2 phases and.
Okay, you didn't fight him before?
No, that was my first time seeing him.
Oh, well, then you skipped the first fight.
But the first fight that
the first fight's the one that gets you into Sacrament.
The first fight is the one that gets you in the Sacrament, and then after it, and it might be optional. It obviously is because you just confirmed it for me.
Yeah, I don't know where this one is.
But you
I want to find it.
That guy that you just talked about, the 2 phases. You can fight him earlier in the game on the bridge. Like there's like a tower in a bridge I think it's in the marina. It might have been a side quest. I fought him. He runs off, so he's not dead. He runs off, and then you do the quest where you talk to the prisoner.
Yes, I know that. I didn't know that was the same guy. Okay, got it. Yeah, I beat him. All right, got it.
Okay, so you beat him twice. So what's your thoughts on you fought 2 bosses, but you fought him a total of 3 boss fights. What were your thoughts on those 2 bosses?
Well, the first one was very cool, very good presentation. I just loved. Yeah. But what you really like, as all games like this, when you really look at it, was a very easy to telegraph move. It's like you let him do his thing, keep your distance. And I parried him. He was very easy.
Yeah,
I think
that
was
easy
to parry.
So that was a very easy way to beat him. So that was fine. But the second time, or the third time, I beat the third boss. The second boss, second time, I had a pretty hard time. I think he killed me about maybe 10 times or so. But I had a really strong ass sword, and I just destroyed his health bar with a few hits. So I had to grind my way to get enough, power and armor and everything to withstand his attacks. Do you think he poisons you too or something? And that was doesn't he? Or he has a plague thing or something?
He does a plague thing.
Yeah, so he got me many times, but I like the challenge, and it's not very punishing. You don't lose anything or a little.
Yeah, that's another thing for those listening that hate Souls games, and you're going, this sounds like something I don't want to play. First of all, I want to say 2 things. I don't think this game is even remotely as tough as most Souls games. I'm not saying you won't die, you will die, but it's not that hard. And second thing is you only lose experience and money if you equip an item that has a negative attribute that has lose experience upon death, lose currency upon death. Other than that, you don't lose it. Only thing you do is you take
weapon durability and armor
durability hits. And even people were complaining about that, and they're like, I think they nerfed it where you don't take as much. But I'll be honest with you, every single time I go back to Sacrament, which, by the way, you can fast travel to Sacrament. So for those going, I got to go back to Sacrament, you just fast travel, go back. But if you go to Sacrament and you go to the blacksmith, he has a repair, and it's so cheap. So every time I just repair all my stuff. I repair everything, and
it's really not a bad punishment. And like, even as I've been beating my head against the wall, I've been dying like tons. And I'm pretty good at like Souls games, but like I'm not as good at this game yet, and I'm still figuring out my play style a little bit.
Well, I think this one could be more difficult if you choose a bad weapon. That was the other thing I was going to ask you guys, because you guys were saying I didn't get the sword. Or if he dropped it, I had no idea and didn't pick it up. I don't know, because I never got a legendary weapon after beating the first boss.
Mm-hmm.
But I did start using, after the first boss, I did start using like a heavy weapon compared to the sword, which is what I started out with. And I was like really upset because it was higher level than my sword. But I was like, dude, this thing's so freaking slow. But if you hit dodge and then immediately hit attack, my guy swings extremely fast, and in a lot of situations he'll go into a combo. So I was going to ask, did you guys try that with the legendary weapon? Does it swing faster if you hit dodge and then
I'm guessing
attack?
it does. So that is like a mechanic in the game, and it's one that I often forget about. So if you hit like the dodge roll button, which is all the same thing, if you hit that in an attack, then you kind of do like a special move. So like when I was doing sword and board and just had like the starting sword, he'd go into like some crazy combo attack. I haven't done it with the two-handed sword because I keep forgetting about it. But with the two-handed sword, I've been like super heavy. So since I'm super heavy, I
So you're
can't
not-
block anymore, but I can do this bash move. And I just hit both trigger buttons and I bash in the enemy and just flatten him to the ground. The only bad part is it takes all my stamina to do it, so I can't follow up with any attack. It does stun him for a minute. I get in one attack by the time he gets up, but it's just like there's a lot of cool mechanics going on with it, and I keep forgetting how those things change when you're changing from one weapon type to the next. So
it feels like a different game, to be honest with you.
No, it really
it's
does.
Very
and like,
dramatic.
yeah,
how it
and that's
changes.
kind of all I'm figuring out right now is like I've only had experience with like a couple weapons. I got a dagger that like I'm under leveled to use, so I'd kind of like to get high enough to use that. And I'm just playing around with stuff right now, and I'll probably restart a playthrough. But going back to the boss fights, that was, I've only had one boss fight so far, and I was just kind of figuring out what am I doing, what's my approach, what's my strategy here. So I went up against him maybe once or twice and died, just kind of like feeling him out, figuring him out. But he was honestly, like you said, just super easy. He telegraphed his moves perfectly. Like once you figured out the rolls, the blocks that, because I was still doing sword and board at that time, and, figured out what worked against him. He was super simple and easy, but I really liked the presentation with it. His moveset was decent, but I did think that maybe he just had, and like he's an early boss. He's supposed to be easy, but maybe he could add a couple more attacks. But otherwise, I thought it was an excellent boss fight. I enjoyed it. It was just enough frustration to not push me away, but give me like great satisfaction.
A little bit of pushback, yeah.
Yeah, a little pushback, and it just makes the victory that much sweeter. So I thought it was a pretty well balanced boss fight. I'm excited to get to more. I just kind of ran into a wall, but I'll get past it.
I think I beat him after the third try, the first boss. I loved the boss. And then the second boss, the first time I fought him, I think I only died once. I was just caught off guard by like how quickly he went off on me. But then I came back and beat him. And then I fought him a second time. He had a second phase, did not know he had a second phase. So he literally one-shotted me once he transitioned to the second phase. And I was like, what the hell? I thought this was going to be an easy fight. And then I think he killed me 2 or 3 more times, and then I killed him. But the one I had, and I won't spoil it since either one of you did not get to him, but the one I had a lot of trouble with was the last one. I think I died 10 or 12 times, and I'm pretty sure if anybody was walking outside by my house, they heard me screaming like a little bitch because I was like, fuck this shit. What the fuck? This is retarded. This is so stupid.
Like that, right?
Why the fuck? Yeah, I was
Yeah, very high pitched. Okay.
Yeah. I was freaking out. I was so pissed. I think I was just cranky too, but I was like, this is bullshit because and I said this on the podcast. I did current gen podcast, and I said it on there. I got him down at least 3 or 4 times down to like 1 hit.
And you had
maybe
full health,
2
right?
hits. Yeah, and I had full health. And I didn't realize I was using, by the way, my main weapon is a plague sword. So it's pretty good, but it's not that great against most of these bosses because they're plague. And so that's part of his thing is he starts throwing plague bubbles, and if you get hit by him while he's swinging at you and going crazy, if you get hit by him, they start. It's kind of like poison in Dark Souls, where you don't realize how quickly it's eating away at you.
Yep.
Plus, he's hitting you. So, like I said on the show, I was literally going 1 second thinking I'm full health. He hasn't hit me.
You're fine. And
to the next second, he hits me once, and I'm like, why am I dead? Why the fuck am I dead?
Fuck.
So, anyways, if you get to him, pay attention to those things. You'll probably kill him in the first or second time. And make sure you're obviously decent level and have a good weapon. But yeah, I personally really like the boss fights. The only problem I've had, and maybe it's because I'm like, oh, I beat the game, and my patience is running thin, has definitely been the end game. Like
Mhm.
I've tried to fight a couple of like harder enemies, and they're just one-shotting me, and I'm like, dude, I can't get better armor. Everything's too high level. I can't upgrade anything. Like I can't get the stuff you're asking me to get to upgrade
Right.
this stuff. I feel like my weapons now at the point, I feel like the only time I felt like it was like not worthy to be fighting against any of these enemies is when I fought the third boss. I was like, okay, I'm not doing that much damage. Like this is
Right.
gonna take real skill for me to kill this guy, and I did. I had to dodge a lot.
But up until that point, you felt like your build
Yeah.
was satisfactory.
Through all the other
Yep.
everything else, I
And-
felt like I was good.
Yep, and that's kind of the imbalance that I felt like the early part of the game, like through the first part, like up through Sacrament, everything felt perfectly balanced. Everything afterwards has felt like I am not ready to be here, so I don't know how I
Well,
got
you're
there.
probably at the point in the game where they're like, okay, you got past the first easy part. Now you need to start leveling up your guy, start looting better weapons, so do bounties, all that stuff. Get a
Okay.
better weapon, get better armor, level up a little bit, then move forward. I would say go find that second boss though. I feel
Yeah.
like if you're 10 hours in, you should at least be able to fight the second boss the first
Okay.
time. I don't think he drops a weapon, but I could be wrong.
I'll
I don't
I'll
remember.
honestly, yeah, I'll go look
But
them
But
up.
you'll at
And
least
using your
you
gear.
should get an Encore or whatever it's called. So
sure.
that's it.
Well, and that'll definitely help me. But like honestly, like I'm just like lazy about playing games anymore. Like I just play them. It's like I could look this stuff up on YouTube, but I just can insist
Yeah.
on trying to figure it out. I don't know why.
No, I understand. All right, so overall, all three of us enjoy No Rest for the Wicked. You both have confirmed that once the game fully releases, you plan on playing it and beating it.
Oh, yeah.
I would recommend if you are a Destiny player or like Destiny type games and you're looking for one that's like a melee-ish type game, this is it. There's been other games that have tried to do this. I know Sasan and I really loved Godfall.
Why are you laughing? Don't laugh. It's not funny.
I was literally the only person. You were bitching about it. I was the only
Never,
person. Like,
I
"God,
never
I'm so
played
glad."
it, so you guys have
Well,
your.
you
You know
got
what?
the-
After I
the
got
cutscenes
over it's a brand new PS5 game, and I like the first 3 hours. I acknowledge it really is trash. It's not a
It's.
good game.
I mean, it's.
It's not
Yeah,
good.
it is. But
It's,
it. Yeah. Okay.
I've tried to come back to it, so I'm not even talking about like this is my memory from, what is it, 5 years ago now, 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
This is like I just downloaded it on PC about 6 months ago and booted it up and I was like, no, this is why did I ever say I liked this game? But
There's something
whatever.
bad with the combat. I forgot what it was.
Yeah.
It's like
Not very well done.
it felt good. Like I see heavy weighted attacks. It was pretty. The armor was, they could upgrade. Were sick as hell. Like, but there's something wrong with it. I forgot what it was. I think you couldn't manage being attacked from off screen. That's right. I kept getting smashed by guys off the screen. There was no way to.
This camera's too close, and it's not like God of War where it's like it does tell you, but there's so much to me going on that it feels more cheap. And
It was
again,
cute. Yeah.
God of War is on another level when it comes to like presentation.
Absolutely.
Your drive to play it. At no point was I like, Godfall is just like God of War, so I definitely want to get good at this game. At some point, I was like, this is not what I want. Okay, all right. You're not allowed on my show anymore. All right, so we all recommend No Rest for the Wicked. So if you're interested, you like Souls games, you like Destiny games, this is gonna be a good one. And Moon Studios is legit. If you've never played the Ori games, what are you doing?
Yes.
Like go buy an Xbox Series S if you have to. Play the Ori games. They're
my gosh.
Two
or
of
a
the
Switch,
best
aren't they
games.
both on the Switch?
Oh yeah, play them on the Switch.
I mean, play Ori and the Blind Forest, for crying out loud already. If you haven't, you're missing out.
Yeah, they're absolutely amazing. I would say they're classics. They're classics.
Yes, no, they're honestly like I grew up on platform games, and they've always been like the genre that kind of got me started, and I've always had an affinity for them. 98% of the platform games I like have probably been in the Mario universe. So to get something that high a quality, made by a different studio, it's S tier. Everybody should give it a shot,
Oh,
honestly.
for sure.
We're talking about I think they've only released 3 games, and all 3 of them to me are.
Yeah, they're all bangers so far. I
Yeah.
mean, I think they got work to do with No Rest for the Wicked, which I think is it's smart. They launched it in early access. Let's get this stuff balanced and out of the way. They got a lot of stuff coming. They got 4-player PvE. It's going to be a baller game. Like,
They've
no
got
doubt.
a nice roadmap ahead.
Yeah.
And one thing we didn't mention, I want to mention before we move on to our next game, is these guys have been incredible at patching this game. They've had 7 hot fixes in 7 days. Obviously, the game's been out more than 7 days.
Oh my
now.
God! Like,
Not about
honestly, I
the
patch
first
it
week.
more than I play it.
Yeah.
It feels like every time I try to play it, there's.
At least it's short patches and not
Yes,
like
it is.
87 gigs. I'm like,
That's true.
they're very small patches, but they do a lot. They have changed the game significantly from the first day I booted up, because I was playing it every day at launch. I think I beat it in the first week, so I've slowed down since then. But that first 7 days, I was playing it every day, and every time they would patch it, I would be like, I see the difference, or whatever they were doing. I was like, yes, I see it. So definitely invest in No Rest for the Wicked. Oh, it's only on PC right now. It's supposed to come to consoles and full release on PC late 2024. Hopefully they hit that. All right, so next game, another major release, a very controversial one. And let's talk Stellar Blade. This is another new IP from not a new developer, but I believe they've only released mobile games before. So this is their first foray into the AAA genre of video games. Stellar Blade is another one I would say it's safe to say it's Souls-like. There are difficulty sliders, so you don't have to play this on Souls level of difficulty. You can play it on easy. But before we just jump into impressions, I think it's real important to ask this question. What was your hype level when you first saw this game and before it released, on a scale of 1 to 10? Were you excited? Were you mid? Were you, I don't really care?
5.
5? Okay.
All right, I'm gonna go with the 9 just because I like to
What?
objectify women, and it looked like they were doing a great job of it from the get-go. So the first thing that drew me into Bayonetta was, the character model. So I had my interest.
Can I just say what I think should be obvious, but nobody says
Please
it?
say it. Say it.
Nobody objectifies women more than women. Can we stop acting like it's just men objectifying
Absolutely.
women?
Like,
It's
yeah,
the
no, and
dumbest thing,
that is 100% the truth.
Positive. We like
I don't
Some
care.
don't like
I like a wide range of women. Like, I'm not objectifying. I'm objectifying all of them. So
I go on
I'm not.
Instagram, and all I see is women objectifying themselves, and
Absolutely, and I
I don't see
love it.
And I don't see a man running their account. It's literally them doing it.
Yes,
And
yes.
yet, when a video game does it, they're like, oh my God, it's men creating this fake version. Nope, I'm pretty sure she's pretty accurate to most of the girls I see on Instagram. So I don't know what the hell you're
But
talking
you're
about.
comparing the ugly ones to the pretty ones.
I am. I mean, like, I'm objectifying all of them. Like, I'm
a
not
chick,
discriminating.
If you're a chick writing for a video game magazine and complaining about this, you're probably not good looking. And if you're a guy writing that article, you're probably a beta fatty who can't get girls and thinks that if you root for them and you stand up for them, they'll
Girls
like more.
They don't
All
like
right.
That's another subject.
That's another topic. I'm not standing up for anybody, but no, just seriously though, I was probably hype level about a 6 or a 7 for this game. But it's just because character action games, kind of platinum games, Bayonetta, I enjoy them. They're just not necessarily my jam normally.
I would say I was probably at a 7 or 8, and yes, I'm not afraid to say a lot of it was holy shit. Eve is my type of girl. Whoa!
Man, oh man!
But my hype dropped a little bit, and I didn't play a lot of it because I had already pre-ordered it, so I didn't need to. I played the demo, and I was like, "This is a little. This isn't what I expected. I expected a little bit quicker." But whatever, I bought the game. I'll probably like it. So I moved on. But the hype, as far as like the gameplay, dropped a little bit from my experience. But then everybody who played the demo, I'm gonna get to you guys next. But everybody I saw post about playing the demo was talking about how great it was. So I was like, okay, I'll probably love it. So my hype probably finished out at about an 8. Let's start with you, Sasan, because you bought the full game, whereas Dan has only played the demo. I also bought the game. How many hours are you into Stellar Blade?
I would say about 12, 15. I don't know. I made to the
Just roundabout.
Yeah, I made to the big major area, the wastelands or whatever. Is that what it's called?
I wouldn't know because you're gonna find out how many hours I put in, and it's not that much.
Okay, I went to the big open area, fought a few bosses. Yeah, it's fine. I mean, it's good. It's not as good as everyone thinks it is. I'm just telling you, there's a lot of things. Now, this is my genre. Okay, all
Yeah.
I care about is combat. That's all the fuck I care about. I've been playing games since 1981. I've played shit. I played worse than shit before you guys were born. Okay? So
you have,
and I appreciate good gameplay. Okay, this game is almost figured it out. Let me go over some things I didn't like about it real quick. Okay, these are very important. One, the dash, the dodge dash. I don't think it has iframes. That it's just it has this weird momentum where you dash and then you just stop. Like if you jump in the air and dash, there's no transition from being in the air to the ground. It's like you just drop down. That's not how you do that. I'm sure that's how gravity works in real life, but this is a video game. That's not a good gameplay mechanic. And so, and number two, you can't use that dash in combat. Okay, they have a perfect dodge, but I'm not talking about, that's equivalent to be like a quick time event. I want to use my skills and my abilities, whatever I want to, and not rely on some kind of pre-programmed mechanic that's done at the right time. You know what I'm saying? If that makes any sense.
I actually was gonna say, from the little bit I've played, and it's not exactly like this, but maybe you guys will get what I'm trying to say. It's almost like playing Mike Tyson Punch-Out, where I'm just standing in front of this boss, and it's like, I hit circle now. All right, I did the perfect dodge. Now I hit triangle. I get a good attack. Then I just stand there and attack. I don't really move. I just stand there and attack. I might block. I might do a perfect block. I might do a perfect parry. Whatever. That's what it felt like. And as far as what you're explaining, it sounds like it doesn't really change as much as far as you're not really dodging and dashing all around.
You know what's a better example of that? It's Callisto Protocol. Once you
Oh,
engage an enemy,
I never played that.
Once you engage an enemy, you are locked into that.
Sure, you're right.
Anything else? That's what it felt like. You are committed to this certain enemy. Because look, first of all, don't they really hate disengagement?
Yep.
Okay, I'm like level 600 in Neo 2. Like I went to the 40th level in the underworld. I beat to the Way of the Neo level. That's beating it 5 times over. Okay, that's the hardest game. That's all there is to it. But you're like, for instance, you're like, you go into a level, an area. All of a sudden, they drop a boss on you, okay? And then they put a invisible barrier around you. You can't escape. You're fighting that, and then they drop another boss on top of that. And then some other guys start spawning. Okay, then all of a sudden, you're there. But you know what you can do? You got to create space. So you can see what you want to do. So you can plan your attack. So then you could easily, unlock from an enemy, create space, readjust, reacclimate, and then, engage. This, you can't do that. Once you engage an enemy and someone else comes behind you, you are trapped. You try to unlock and you just can't sprint away. It's not fast enough. They just keep, spamming you, and then you're trying to do this perfect block or, parry thing, which is fine. But when you parry, you're stuck. You're standing still. So you're not getting away.
Yep.
And then you're standing in place. The other people catch up to you, and then they keep smacking you, and you got to parry everything, and eventually you're just going to die. They did not. Crowd management is just awful. And here's the biggest sin. There's one boss. It's like a skill check thing where you go up to her and you have to beat her to progress to this next level. Okay, that's fine.
Is this the one that you shared a video of?
Yes. And I died a few times, and then a tip popped up at the top right of the screen that says you should counter parry her. So parry her and do the counter attack move, which is basically something as easy as pushing triangle. Okay.
Yep.
That's all it is. There's also one where you push forward and square. The triangle is the fastest one. Okay.
Yep.
So I engaged her, and first of all, you can't beat her without doing that, because every time you start, like, let's say I parried all of her attacks, she backs off and refreshes her. There's like a balance feature. It's kind of like in Way of the Ronin, and or like in Sekiro, like their posture and all that. She has like she has like a 5-level like balance meter. Once it gets down to 2 or 3, she refreshes it right away, because they want you to counterattack. That's how you whittle her health down after parrying her a few times. Okay, fine, I can do that. I can parry that woman all day. It's not hard. But every time I try to do the counter move, pushing triangle after the parry, I get punished. She interrupts my attack and hits me. What am I supposed to do then? That doesn't make sense to me, because I can't cancel out of it. I'm committed to a move that I have to do that she hits through. That makes no sense to me at all.
So let me ask you a question, because I hear what you're saying. Mm-hmm. They want you to parry. Yep. All right. No, so can't you just parry and back off, or are you saying the only way you can do damage is to parry and then go in for that triangle strike?
If I kept, she does like 5 attacks in a row basically. If I parried all of them, she'll back off before she gets down before she ruins her balance meter, and she refreshes it.
Oh, okay. Because that was what I was going to ask. Is the gimmick that they just want you to parry to break her, and then once you break her, you one-shot her or something like that?
But you can't do that, because she refreshes before she breaks.
Okay.
So I figure, okay, I guess I got to, counterattack each parry.
So how'd you beat her?
I didn't. I left. I went somewhere else, because I was like, this is stupid. Because the whole point is that, like, I parry, hit, parry, hit. It works sometimes, but why doesn't it work every time? Why can she interrupt my attack? And first of all, and the fact that I'm locked onto that attack and I can't switch, she's going to attack me while I'm in mid animation. I can't cancel out of it. Then I get hit, and that's stupid. That's a bad. And first of all, that move, which is something as simple as hitting triangle after doing the hard part, which is a parry, that it doesn't even work. Like, what the
right?
Fuck?
Yeah, that's kind of frustrating.
You know what I'm talking about?
No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
The easiest part, the counter part, like in Dark Souls, you do the shield part, boom, you hear the.
Yeah, the rest of it's easy. You're locked in that animation, like that's what's happening.
I don't feel confident that I'll ever pull that up, and that's the easiest thing to do. That part is so stupid. But overall, I think, like, when you're hitting the dudes with the swords or whatever, that feels good. It looks nice, I think. But those are the disengagement, bad, the non-cancelable animations. Those are big L's for me. That's
okay.
Almost uninstalled it, but I probably won't beat it.
You probably won't.
I thought I was gonna platinum it, but after that boss, I'm like, you're doing something here that doesn't make sense, and I can't look.
Did you? Because I haven't gotten to that person. I only played an hour. Did you look up a guide just to see if there is some gimmick to her fight that maybe you're missing?
No, you know what? I should probably watch.
I would just at least look or watch and go, is this a gimmick boss, or am I just missing something? And then if you go and watch it and you're like, oh, I missed that, then maybe you like the game. If it's like, no, you just have to cheese them, or this is dumb, then I can understand being like, okay, this is stupid.
The fact that they said they gave you a tip saying this is what you're supposed to do was like a skill check of like, hey, before you get any further in this game, know how to counter parry.
Yeah.
That was the whole purpose of that boss.
I mean, I only played an hour, but that's the main thing I try to do. Counter parry. That's like now becoming my instinct is to do that. So.
Yep.
All right.
No.
So Dan, I know you only played the demo.
Yep. So, like I said, I
Thoughts?
kind of went out in with like mediocre expectations with this game. I'm just not huge into the character action type games. Getting into it and playing the demo, I kind of found it like a little Dark Souls, a little like Jedi Fallen Order. Like I was kind of digging it. So I like what they're doing with it. It's not like Bayonetta, for better or worse. I don't know. Maybe Bayonetta is a little better, but from what I got so far, like there was like with the demo, like I like that there's some exploration. You're looking for things hidden off the path. Seems like they're decent upgrades and everything around that. But the combat, like I kind of had a love-hate relationship a little bit with it. A little bit like Sasan's talking, like you're getting interrupted on stuff like it doesn't feel like you should be. Like once you've gotten that far, it should be unblockable, like you're invincible during that animation, but you're not. Um, that said, though, like for the most part, what I've played for it, which hasn't been a ton, just most of the demo. I didn't quite finish the demo, but I got pretty far into it. I like the combat, like with the normal type enemies and stuff like that. I didn't have to get in too much for crowd management situations. Maybe 3 enemies at a time. It seemed pretty manageable. I liked the combat. It was a little slower. It wasn't quite as fast as like a Devil May Cry or a Bayonetta, and I kind of dug that about it. So it made it a little more methodical to me. It seemed like a fair balance, but there are some mechanics that just seemed a little off. So I definitely agree with what Sasan's saying, but were also times like I don't know. I really enjoyed what I was playing there. I liked the differences between some of the other type of games, like the Platinum games that I played.
Okay. I mean, I'm only like an hour in, and I talked about it on the show. I actually had positive things to say about it, so that hasn't really changed. In fact, the only thing I did after I talked about it on current gen was I actually fought the first boss. Well, first real boss. The first boss you fight like in the prologue is you have somebody fighting with you. This
Yeah.
was the first boss I fought on my own. And that was actually what I was referring to when I was talking about, hey, this kind of feels like Mike Tyson Punch Out. Because, I mean, was I able to move around? Sure. I'm being a little dramatic. But it wasn't like, it's definitely not like Bayonetta and Devil May Cry when it comes to speed of even attacks, but also just your movements.
Absolutely.
It's definitely slower, but I did like that boss fight. I do feel like, and I said this on that show, there are a lot of mechanics, and I'm not at the point where I like fully know everything. Like I know what they've taught me, but I haven't gotten to the place where everything's muscle memory, where I know how to react to everything. I got good enough to fight through the boss, and it wasn't that big of a deal. I was doing a lot of the parrying or perfect dodges and all that. But again, that was the first boss, so I didn't have him interrupting. If you parried him or perfect dodge and then countered it, there was no interrupting. And then the way you actually kill him feels like a Mortal Kombat fatality. So I actually was extremely satisfied. I was like, oh my gosh, this is pretty freaking cool the way you split it in
Hell
half.
yeah.
So there are some cool things. I won't say right now whether I'll finish it or not, and the reason why is I haven't been gaming as much in general, and I also think part of the reason is I just keep buying games, and I'm now getting to that place where, hey, you could probably stop buying games because you're not fast enough to beat all these games. And I don't know if you guys experience this. I buy too many games, but I like buying games. It does give me like that little high that I like.
Yeah.
But I buy the games and I'm like, my intentions are to play and beat them. And anybody that's followed me over the years knows I beat about 40 to 50 games a year. So I beat a lot of games. But if I buy too many games, I will get overwhelmed and I'll like freeze. And I'll be like, I don't know what I'm going to play. So my next game that I was actually going to beat was Final Fantasy 16's DLC, the Rising Tide, and I actually got stuck on the big boss fight that I had just walked into when, again, I just had talked about it on Current Gen, and I got extremely angry because the way you die in that boss fight was it's absolute cheese. Meaning, without spoiling it, but there's a part of the boss fight. It's just dumb. So the boss fight overall, I guess, is cool because it's in line with all the Final Fantasy 16 ones. But there's a part in it where I didn't know this at the time, where you have to do a certain amount of damage, and if you don't do it, he just one-shots you. You can't get out of the one-shot. It just goes to an animation, and you're dead, even if you're full health. So I was playing it, fighting, and I'm like, oh, I can't dodge that? I just die? Okay, let me try this again. Okay, wait, why am I dying? Okay, let me put it on easy just to see if I can get past this part because I'm not understanding why I'm dying. Even on easy. Keep in mind, though, for people that are screaming at me like, dude, it's not that hard. I don't remember how to do these boss fights because I haven't done them in like 9 months.
Right.
So they're throwing me in this boss fight. I don't know how to do the most damage in this short period of time because they show you the bar and I'm doing really good and I get it to about right here and then it starts counting down 4, 3, 2, 1 and I'm like, you piece of shit. And I get to like there and I'm dead.
And that's my problem with DLC with like most games. Like I play DLC very little. Like one of the only games like I've actually played all the DLC to 100% has been The Witcher 3. And those, I don't know. It's just because I never give up on that game. But
those
like
don't feel like DLC though.
I don't know. And it's a completely new game, right? And they kind of like grease you into it a little bit again. But like a lot of DLCs, like
but it feels like DLC. It feels like DLC.
Yeah,
like
so
just a part that was in Final Fantasy 16 that they cut out just to sell it separate.
Yep, and usually I don't buy and play a lot of that stuff, so I'm not a big DLC guy. As much as I love Final Fantasy 16, I don't think I'm probably gonna get the DLC.
So my point in sharing that, besides I wanted to complain about it, is that was supposed to be my next game because I was like, oh, it's only like 4 or 5 hours. I'll beat this because I'm halfway through it. I'm like, I'll beat it in a couple hours. I got stuck on that. Then I booted up No Rest for the Wicked, and I kept dying in the in-game stuff. So I started doing my angry ranting, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to play anything. And like the last few days, I haven't. I just sit at work when I'm not working, and I'm like, I don't even want to play a game. I don't want to start anything. So Stellar Blade is not getting the attention that I thought I would give it because I do think I would like the game.
You've played worse. You'll like it. You've played worse. It's not.
Sasan and I agree a lot, but we also disagree. I think we also roast each other a lot. But like, if he says he hates something, I'm not gonna just agree with him. There's plenty of games that I like, and then he loves Neo 2 way too much. I've argued with him.
He does. He does.
He likes it way too much. Huh?
Identity. I am Neo 2. That's.
You definitely are Neo 2 at this point. Like I've tried so much to get in those games as much as you, but like I can't even. Yeah,
I am Neo 2.
You guys have no idea what.
No,
sound like Kanye.
So good.
I am God. I am God.
He is. I mean, when it comes to Neo 2, like I don't know if there's anybody that's probably better at that game than Sasan. It's ridiculous.
Oh, no. I'm just a little bit about the guys in the specific Neo groups. They're fucking crazy. Like they're doing some shit with some. No, I'm just. I can talk with them, but I'm not. Raising my voice.
Oh well, it definitely seems like you're in that league.
I'm pretty good though. That are like, how do you do that? I was watching a video, and it wasn't for this boss fight for Final Fantasy 16, but YouTube was advertising it because I watch a lot of Final Fantasy 16 stuff. I'm a big fanboy of the game, and it just had this guy fighting enemies, and the stuff he was pulling off, I'm like, dude, I never even thought of that. I also watch a lot of like, there's this guy, I don't know his name because it's all in Japanese, but he does videos where it's like he doesn't wear any armor and he never takes a hit. And this is every game. He does Lies of P, all the Souls games, and he just releases boss fights and he never takes one hit. Huh?
Epic name, bro.
but it's all in Japanese, so I don't know who
never
he
mind.
is. He
Yeah.
does Sekiro too, but dude, the guy baffles me on how good he is because you have to memorize everything to be able to do what he's doing. And some of these fights that he does this on, I'm like, bro, you're memorizing at least 40 to 50 moves, and
That's
you know
crazy.
exactly when you have to dodge. You know exactly when you have to parry. You know
And
exactly.
it's ridiculous how good those guys got.
And they get
Yeah.
the conversation while they're doing it.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I've tried some of those others for whatever reason. Like FromSoft, generally their formula is the one that I can fit into. Like Dark Souls and Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne. Those are like my three like S tier games. Elden Ring I would hold up there with the same thing, though I haven't finished it yet. But it's just crazy what those guys do. But like I haven't been able to get into the Team Ninja mold as much. Like I've tried Neo 2, and I just can't do what Sasan does. But I feel like I can hold my ground with him in Dark Souls 3 or Dark Souls, but not those games.
Yeah. So I would say, from what I've gathered, Stellar Blade, we're mixed on that.
Yeah.
I will probably end up liking it more than you two.
I
I do want to ask before we move on from Stellar Blade. Do you have any thoughts though, Sasan, on the story? Like, because I have no thoughts because I literally have just watched one cutscene. Do you have any thoughts on, without spoiling it, overall? Is this story any good? Because that was kind of the negative vibe I got from a lot of the reviews, is that the story sucks.
Yeah, the story seems pretty stupid. It's some typical dumb world-ending anime shit. I don't care about that stuff. And the dialogue is awful. And I guess just wait, Derek. That one boss I was talking about, for some reason you can't cancel out of her talking anime, the dialogue before the fight.
That's the worst. Derek hates that.
You can do for all the other ones, but the
Why?
one that pissed me off the most, you can't.
Okay, well then I may not play this game until they patch that, because as Dan just said, like, I hate talking.
Yeah.
It's a bad talk too.
You gotta be able to skip those cutscenes.
It's really bad.
Oh
the
no,
story's really
that's
stupid.
no good.
That's why I'm actually single, guys. I've tried to date, and then I realized I can't skip these girls talking.
Yes.
To the good stuff. So I don't really want to do this anymore.
All I gotta say, Derek, is you're not wrong. From two married guys, I think you're probably 100% on.
All you gotta do is repeat the last few words she said, and then put a question mark behind it, and it looks like you're listening. And
Yes.
That's it.
Oh, I'm the worst because I can't hear worth the crap. So yep, I do exactly what he said.
Like a 5-minute conversation, what they did that day, or their day at work, or whatever the fuck they do with their lives, and the last thing they say was DVD.
Yep, that's all you gotta say.
That's it.
Could you expound on that, please?
Believe me, it's perfect relationship advice. I mean, this is top-notch shit.
Yeah. I do. Did not real. I'm not even trying to be cool. Like, somebody might be listening and be like, oh, he's trying to be cool. He really does want a woman. Every time I start talking to women on like those dating apps, I'm like, I don't want to do any of this. This is terrible.
Believe me, if I was given a do-over right now, I would stay. Yep, it'd just be me.
I agree.
Dan, say that again.
No, I can't say more than that. I'll get fined and fired. So no.
All right, so we've talked No Rest for the Wicked. We've talked Stellar Blade. We all approve of No Rest. We are all mid on Stellar Blade. Let's end the show with, because I really wanted to talk about those two games because they're new releases, they're more relevant. But what else are you guys playing? We'll end the show on that. However many games you're playing, just give us your overall impressions, what you like, what you don't like. We'll start with you, Dan. What's some of the stuff you're playing outside of what we've already talked about?
All right, the big one for me right now has been Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So I don't know quite how many hours I'm in, 20 hours maybe, something like that, maybe a little more. I just started chapter 6. So kind of hit a part where like the pacing is really weird in that game. It'll give you like story, exposition, and mini games for like 3 hours, and then give you a boss fight. And it's like, I don't even remember what the hell I'm doing at the combat. other than the pacing, really enjoy the game. The combat's great and everything. Just kind of forget all the facets of it sometimes when I get to the harder stuff. But fabulous game. Loving it. I'm not a big Final Fantasy VII original guy, so I only played through half the original. But definitely digging that. Other than that, I'm kind of like with you, Derek. Like I'm almost a loss of what I want to focus on right now. It's just kind of weird funk of gaming, like having a hard time just focusing on any other one game. Um, Alan Wake 2's kind of been hanging out for me. That's been a long time since I've been back to that, but I really enjoyed what I played and just kind of regretting not finishing that game. Um, Otherwise, though, I'm kind of in an old school kick. So it's like my PC, I've been playing a lot of games that maybe I played on consoles like years past or whatever, just with the better settings, better visuals, better frame rates, stuff like that. So I've been playing a little Red Dead Redemption 2 and Grand Theft Auto 5. Just kind of mucking around with those very early parts, both those games.
What
But
monitor are you using with your PC setup? Are you
so
using the 1440p or
Yep.
did you upgrade it?
No, so I still got the 1440p. I'm looking at a 1440p OLED widescreen. That's kind of probably the next step I go. I got a 4070 Ti, so if I keep it at 1440p, I get pretty much ultra settings and everything else. So it's a pretty good setup that way. So I'm enjoying what I get visual wise. It's not quite 4K, but even at 1440p, like I feel like sitting as close as I do at a monitor, I get much better experience what I've got on the consoles in the past. So I did also start a new playthrough of Cyberpunk 2077 on PC.
Yeah.
I did almost everything on Xbox Series X when that game came out. Had a really good experience there. Game played great. Only thing is, I tried to get the secret ending on that game, and I was never quite high enough level. Like it's a suicide mission, and every time I go on, it was basically I'd just die. So, I'd like to get back to that point on PC again and try that secret ending and hopefully be high enough level. But I got the Phantom Liberty DLC to play, so excited, looking forward to that. Other than Cyberpunk, I mean, it's really been Cyberpunk and Fallout 4 have been my PC games right now. And I watched Fallout series. Holy crap, that was just fantastic.
Yes,
And
I think that's the best
oh my God.
gaming show.
Best
in my
video
opinion.
game adaptation to a TV show movie I probably ever seen. I enjoyed it so much. Like got to the ending of it. Like season 2 can't come soon enough. So went right back to Fallout 4, and I've never been a big Fallout guy. Played a little Fallout 3, a little Fallout New Vegas, little Fallout 4. Like I probably got like 15, 20 hours in each of those games, and that's probably as far as I've ever went. So I'm right now about 20 hours in Fallout 4, so almost it's about the farthest I've ever been in the game. But my intention is to see the campaign all the way through. So really, Fallout 4 is kind of my focus right now with Cyberpunk as my passion project.
All right. Well, that's good. Fallout 4 is definitely worth finishing.
It's so much fun. It's so much fun.
Bethesda, obviously we've got some people on here who aren't big Bethesda fans, but Bethesda, and I would agree to a certain extent. First of all, just for the record, I think Elder Scrolls games suck. I don't like them. I didn't like Skyrim that much either. But Fallout I really like, and one of the reasons there's two reasons I like it. One, I really like their VAT system, and two, I really, really like that they play so open like all the other Bethesda games, but they actually have, usually at the end of the stories, they have a nice twist that makes you feel like you played a good campaign. So they always make it worthwhile. I think 3's was better than 4, if I remember correctly, or maybe 4's was better than 3. I can't remember. But I just know that 3, 4, and New Vegas all have great campaigns. And like I said, the VAT system makes it really feel like, while it's still a shooter, they're not the greatest shooter.
No, and Fallout 4 is very much more
leans RPG.
Yeah. No, it is, but 4 leans way more into the shooter than I think 3 did.
Definitely a better shooter than 3.
but it's still
Fallout will be great because they take what they learned from Starfield's shooting is actually
yes,
really good.
yes, it is.
Shooting and put in the next Fallout with that cool environment, you'll have a great game.
I think if you had Starfield level shooting mechanics with the bat system, like that's an excellent game.
That'd be an awesome game.
And getting back into Fallout 4 right now, like I am way more excited. Like I don't know if it's just coming off the show or whatever, but like I'm just way more invested in the world and the setting, and it definitely feels like I don't know if I've ever finished a Bethesda RPG, not the main quest of anything, no. Sure. And I put probably like 70 or 80 hours into Skyrim. So I've played them. Skyrim was my game, but like I never finished the main quest in that game. So I really want to try and finish main quest in a Bethesda game, and right now I feel like Fallout 4 is the one that's going to do it for me.
I think you're playing the best game. I know Fallout 4 gets crapped on, and I'm not saying
3 gets best. Everybody says the best, but 4 is more modern. So yes, I'm going with 4.
That's what I was going to say. I think 3 is the better game, but I played 3 before 4 ever existed. If I was going to tell somebody, hey, play something like a Fallout game, it would be 4 just because it's more modern. And they just updated. On April 25th, they just updated everything for consoles. They even added stuff for PC. I did boot it up like you. Coming off the hype of the show, I actually played some Fallout 76, which is actually...
I hear that's good, but are you using mods on Fallout 4?
No, I don't.
I don't mess with mods, or I haven't yet on PC.
Really easy on there. Yeah.
But I hear that the new patch really effed up all the mods on PC. So I haven't had any negative experience. I don't see a drastic improvement where it was on PC before the patch or after. But I get a lot more extra quests and stuff to do now, which is great. But it's still the same game for me.
As far as looks and performance, I don't think we're going to really see any difference because we're high-end cards. So we're already looking at the game at its highest detail.
Best settings, right?
Yeah. Sasan, what have you, outside of the games we've talked about, what have you been playing? Anything new or different? Did you go to any old games?
Well, after Rise of the Ronin, after getting a platinum on that was such a incredible high for me. And I was kind of like you. I was like, what do I do now? There's really, you know what I mean? Nothing just sounded really good to me at that point. So I just kind of just jumped around. I was like, I need to finish, Baldur's Gate 3. I need to finish Cyberpunk. I need to just on my PC and all that stuff. But tried Stellar Blade. It's not sticking, but I will get back to it. I did finish the Hades technical test. They only let you beat the first boss 5 times. After that, they lock you out.
Okay.
And I burned through that. It seemed a lot easier than the first boss in the original game, even in early access. But this is a technical test, so it might be a whole different way. It might be very different than the early access version of the first boss and leading up to it. But that, captured my attention, and I love Supergiant. That's probably my favorite game developer. Top 3.
Yeah. So how you feel about them is how I feel about Moon Studios.
Yeah, the art, the music, everything about it, I just consume it and I just feel it and I identify. I just love it more than anything. But yeah, this Hades 2 is a banger, man. That's going to be great. I think my next game I'm going to jump back into, I think I just got to hit Dragon's Dogma 2. I think that's my next one. I just got to get into that. I think.
How many hours are you in? Do you know? Like roundabout.
I don't know, 12, 16. I don't know. I didn't touch it since we were on this podcast last time.
Oh, it's so good. Like I keep going back to that game. That game's so much fun to play.
That's actually the one I was gonna state that I will probably end up diving into that one more. I actually had dropped off it, not because I was like, oh, I don't like it, or other games are better. Because I've said this before, Dragon's Dogma is one of my all-time favorite games. So my hype level for 2 was extremely high. The reason I didn't get into it as much is, I was distracted with other games that I had already started before 2 came out. But it was also because I hit a quest where you have to attend a masquerade party. And I had the masquerade mask, but I forgot that I had that quest because I got distracted with a bunch of other quests. So when I was selling stuff, I sold the mask.
Oh shit.
So I go to I knew what outfit I had to wear, so I put the outfit on, I unequipped all my weapons, and I went into the masquerade ball, and this happened like 4 times. I don't know if I did something wrong. I don't know if the game glitched, but the guards kept attacking me. So I was like, damn it, I have to have this mask. I have to have it. I've effed up. I don't know who I sold it to. I couldn't find. I already took a trip back to a village that I thought I sold it at. It wasn't there for me to buy it back. It wasn't in the main town. So I was like, crap, I really screwed this up. I'm going to have to start this game over. Keep in mind, I'm 13 plus hours in. I would have done it, but I didn't want to. So I turned the game off. I'm pretty pissed off. And I actually wrote a rant in one of my chats to Jesse and Rob saying, because Rob was talking about how he was like, I'm kind of disappointed in Dragon's Dogma 2. He had hyped it up. And so he didn't see that I had responded, but I responded basically saying, I'm stuck on this quest. I'm pretty pissed off. I might have to start the game over. As I write that, I decide, why don't we just test it to see if it's still broken? Freaking works. First time, I just walk in there and I'm like, oh, nobody's attacking me now. And this isn't it just happened and then I restarted it and then it worked. We're talking, I tried to enter this party like 5 times. Yep. I reset the day several times. You rest at a bench.
Yeah.
You can reset the day. I don't know why it worked this time. I didn't have the mask on, but the game was just like, yeah, we're not going to attack you this time.
Are you playing on PC?
Yeah.
It's just PC gaming is my interpretation. Everything's just mucked up and broken.
Sometimes it's just like, what are you doing? So yeah. I think that's going to be my next game that I'm going to focus on because that's, I think once I really lock in and get further into it, I'm going to get hooked.
Oh, yeah.
That being said, go ahead, and then I'll.
No, I was just gonna say, if I can get through more of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, like Dragon's Dogma is like the game I'm dying to get back to. I played a little bit here and there, but like I really want to get back and like focused on that game.
It has really good combat, and I picked a class that apparently is boring. I think I got the fighter class or whatever, but I still like it. I like my
upgrade to the warrior, man. Once I upgraded the warrior, like it's a little different. Like in No Rest for the Wicked, when you get that 2-handed sword, like I don't know, like but in Dragon's Dogma, like I loved how the combat evolved when I got that class.
The only reason I haven't done it is because I was going to, and I am going to do it. I'm gonna switch to the mid-game class where I'm forgetting the name.
I want the one with the double-handed spear or whatever.
We're talking about the same thing.
Yeah, like that thing looks like badass. Like
it's like a magic class, but you're also melee. I forgot
it's magic with like a double-edged spear. Like that thing looks like so cool, and everybody I've seen that has played with that class, it looks like just complete ball. Like that's the only thing driving me forward in that game. Like, well, I mean, like the story and journeys, everything's fun, but like I really just want to get that class.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to unlock that. So I think that's going to be next on my hit list. But I did end up buying, after complaining about how I buy too many games, I bought 2 more games on PC. I bought
Pilgrims.
Yeah, well, of course, because you keep sending me pictures, and I want to punch you.
Which one? Pilgrims? Like, I need to get that one. I'm going to Steam right now.
So good.
What'd you buy, Derek?
I bought the best Final Fantasy game to ever come out, and that's Stranger of Paradise.
Yes.
I bought it on Steam. I already had it on PC.
I haven't played that.
It's actually good. It's like a fun combat game. Oh yeah,
it plays well.
Because isn't that kind of like a character action game more than it is like an RPG?
Yeah, you will not care about the story. You will not care about the characters. You will only care about how fun the combat is, and there is a lot of depth to it. So I bought that, and then I also bought Nier Replicant. That's again another game I owned on PS4, but it was $20 on PC, and I was kind of in the mood to jump back in that because I actually have not beat Nier Replicant. I did beat.
I haven't ever either. I've gone through the first the
Nier Automata
chapter or Nier Automata. That's the one I played. Yep. Sorry.
I beat Nier Automata once, but there's like 27 endings.
Yeah,
But
that's all I've done in the first one.
That game looks
Yes.
like shit. I can't play that.
It's
what's
fun.
Yeah.
It's near Autonoma. It's fun, dude.
I can't, dude.
I actually think you might like that, even
Like,
though I'm the one
honestly,
that complained about it.
I
And
love
you
Devil
can
May
get
Cry. I love that
buy
shit, but that looks
buy
so
Near
bad.
Automata
I
for
have
like
it.
$10.
I
All
got
right.
it. I tried it. It's just,
come on, dude.
On PC though, it looks
not-
way better
not
on PC.
because it looks
It
very drab.
does.
Dude,
No,
it looks. I just
believe me,
booted up.
get through the game a little bit more. The environment's changed. Like, it's a bullet hell, like melee focus. Like, it's a wild game. Like, I love that game.
The game on console looks like last gen trash. On PC, and I'm not exaggerating. Keep in mind, I have a nice setup. I'm playing it on 4K. Everything, bells and whistles turned on. I was like, dude, I feel like I'm playing a completely different game. And I'm running it at like 80, 90 frames per second. It's ridiculous.
Oh, okay.
That's why I bought Replicant. Replicant does not look as good as Automata, but it's still, I know it's going to be a good time. And I think I'll end up liking, in case you guys don't know, Replicant more, because did you guys ever play Dragon Guard 3?
No.
Okay.
No.
Go watch videos of Dragon Guard 3. The female, this is the only time a woman's ever funny. The female protagonist in that game rips the shreds out of every character in that game. And I don't know if she's in this game because I know they're in the same universe. So I don't know if her actual character's in Nier Replicant, but at least the voice actress is. And she's doing the same shit. She's just talking and berating people, and it's actually pretty freaking hilarious. Because in Dragon Guard, I didn't beat it. I think your companion is this like cute dragon, and she's the meanest person you could ever be to like this cute little dragon, if I'm remembering correctly. And I remember laughing and going, "This game is ridiculous. It's okay to play." But I just remember laughing, and I went back and watched some of the scenes, and I was like, "Dude, this is so funny." So, anyways, the Nier games, I've crapped on them in the past. I would say Automata is really, really good looking and plays well on PC, and Replicant not as good looking, but as far as I'm hoping, as far as humor, I'm thinking it's going to be just as good as Dragon Guard 3. But that's all I've been playing. But I do think Dragon's Dogma 2 is going to be my main. I did play the Fallout games just for fun. I will say, to end the show, Fallout 76 is nothing like it was at launch.
That's what I hear.
It's way better. It even starts out the like campaign with something more interesting than what you did if you bought the game at launch, and I did. It looks decent on PC. I know they did a 4K 60 frames per second patch on consoles as well. Maybe it's not 4K, but it's definitely 60 frames per second. So it looks a little bit better and plays better because it's 60 frames per second, but it's still pretty ugly in my opinion on console. Um, the issue I have with Fallout 76 is it has a VAT system, but it doesn't have it. Like you don't slow down the game. It's just something you can level up in the game, but it doesn't play like Fallout 4's VAT system. But other than that, it's actually a really fun game. And I've been enjoying jumping back into the Fallout franchise. The reason I say it's the best is when I say that, I immediately think of, well, is it really better than The Last of Us? In my opinion, it is. I feel like The Last of Us changed way too much. Plus, I feel like this is an original story that they actually did better than the games.
Yes,
While still making you feel like you're watching one of their games.
Yeah,
So
then that's the biggest difference between this and The Last of Us, in my opinion, is that The Last of Us just retreaded The Last of Us story. It was the same thing we've seen, but they changed a few things of it. It was extremely well done, but like Fallout is something original, but it feels 100% Fallout.
Yeah, it's really well done. So I highly recommend you guys check that out. But that is all I have for this week's episode. In fact, next show I'm planning on having a couple of guests that aren't these two. I'm going to give them a break. I'll bring you guys back later. But I'm going to have a couple guests, and I know one of them, we're definitely going to be talking Fallout. So I look forward to that. We'll do some deep diving into the Fallout franchise and maybe even talk more about the show with our next upcoming episode 5. So that is it for episode 4. Thanks for listening, and hopefully we'll see you back in a couple weeks. Bye.